Quit asking me questions. Yeah, I know you, but we ain't friends. Quit asking.
Did you watch the game last night, Matt?
Yeah, I did. Crazy ending, huh?
That was.
Yeah, that sucks.
I was asleep at the time that the good stuff happened, so I had to watch.
I was going to sleep. I had to get out of bed to put it on. My wife was dead asleep, so I had to not wake her up. I had to go in the other room. I'm a huge Cleveland fan, so I have no dog in this fight. I really want to see Miami beat Boston in Game 7, though. How could you not?
All right, Stochastic, here we go. It's your old pal EMac coming to you on a Sunday morning. Well, closer to Sunday afternoon. It is 12:32 after all, but we've got the MLB Live before lock. We're going to do all 8 games on the featured slate. And today I am joined by the first time by Matthew Belman, who has had some great success out there in the MLB streets. You guys might also remember him from several of the college football articles we had. Seemingly a lifetime ago was college football. But Matt, welcome to the show. Glad to be able to do one with you here.
Thank you. You too. I've been looking forward to this. As I told you before the show, I can now die a happy man after experiencing a show with you. And it seems like those college football articles were forever ago. You're so right.
Yeah, it's just been a long time. This once you get into the baseball starting, and we still have I think I looked earlier, 140 days, I think, or 140 slates left, because I was looking at my DK how many more days I got to play for the Ironman crown. So it's some ungodly number. We kind of lose sight of how long the NBA playoffs actually go, because remember, we're 6 weeks deep into the NBA playoffs at this point, and then the finals don't even start until next week. So then we have the doldrums. We get that long stretch of nothing but baseball, but that's okay for seam heads like us. But who is your favorite team, Matthew?
The Guardians, for sure. I'm Cleveland through and through. Born in Cleveland. I'm back in Cleveland now, so I'm a huge Cleveland sports fan. And I was going to say, those doldrums you're talking about, I live for that time. I love this time that's coming up with just baseball. You know, it's better with the NBA playoffs going on, but like you said, the NBA playoffs last a long time.
Yeah, especially if they go. And I was wondering how they were going to do it over the holiday weekend. And Chad, don't worry, we're just collecting a few people here on Sunday morning. I was wondering how they were going to do it on the holiday weekend if the games finished soon, because like, oh my God, they're going to kick this thing out for like 8 or 9 days. Turns out they didn't have to, because Boston made things. First, they got a little interesting, then they got spicy, and now they're on the brink of history of potentially becoming the first team to come back from being down in the conference finals, 3-0. So this is kind of exciting. I'm going to be staying up for tomorrow night's game. There will be coffee, there will be nap, and there will be a coffee involved at dinner. So
I will say, and I know people have talked about this, and then we can hop into the baseball. The whole, no team has ever come back from down 0-3. It's completely true, and they will make history. It's very rare you get a situation where the 1 seed is down 0-3. The Celtics are like, 9-point favorites in game 7. So kind of just like the perfect storm for this to happen for the first time ever.
Absolutely. And I see Steve Leibowitz is in chat. He says, yes, I'm down in Florida. So that's when people call out to me, hey there, young man. Very true. Where we live, my wife and I think, are the youngest people in our building. So of everybody we've met. So that's been a unique twist. And for those of you scoring along at home, yes, this is year 35 for me of fantasy baseball. So there we go. All righty, let's get into the fun here. We're going to go game by game. No real weather concerns, which is nice. We also have every lineup. So that's actually rather helpful. That's partly pushed by that 11:35 start that they have for the Peacock channel. So that seemingly the other teams are now getting everything out. And then additionally with DraftKings and occasionally, depending on which way the wind's blowing, FanDuel skipping those 3 o'clock Texas and Colorado based games on their afternoon or their Sunday afternoon slates. So we've got our 8 games here. We're going to jump off with the San Diego Padres in New York taking on the Yankees. It's going to be in the upper 70s today. We've got probably our 2 best pitchers going against each other, but they have equally daunting lineups or offenses that they're facing here. 3.6 implied run total for the Padres going against Cole, 4.1 for the Yankees going against Darvish. Darvish, of course, the venerable veteran, has been pitched for 1 million teams, had a whole career in Japan before coming over here. I believe this is his age 37 season. He's still getting it done, but Matt, can he get it done against the Yankees today?
Yeah, I actually like Darvish a lot today. And side note on what you said about having all the lineups out, part of the reason I like Sunday slates so much more than Saturdays is it seems you get all the lineups on Sunday, where Saturday it just takes a lot longer. As far as this game goes, I like both pitchers a lot here. Coming in with eerily similar numbers, both with close to a 26% K rate, Cole slightly lower. Darvish with a 3.43 expected ERA, Cole at a 3.93. Their whips are nearly identical, 1.13 for Darvish, 1.14 for Cole. I think we see a pitcher's duel here. I built my lineups before we got on the show. Not sure if you know EMac, but I'm a hand builder. So usually I play I max enter like a high dollar contest, but I hand build all my lineups. I built them all before we got on the show. I've got quite a bit of both Cole and Darvish. I like pairing them together in a pitcher's duel. We have Cole as the number one pitcher on the board, coming in with the highest top 2 percentage at 25%. He's owned accordingly, coming in at 31.9%, 32%. I get it. He's the best pitcher on the slate. He's struggled recently. So, if you want to make the case to fade him against a good lineup here, I don't hate it. It just comes down to the question of who are you playing if you fade Cole. And then Darvish, slightly tougher matchup. But this Yankees lineup isn't a lineup I'm afraid of right now. They're still missing a couple key guys. Stanton's still out. I know Donaldson's a ways away. We have Darvish as the second top 2 pitcher on the slate at 18.3%, coming in under owned at 16.2%. That has to do with his price tag. He's the second most expensive pitcher on the slate behind Cole. I don't care. Darvish lives for games like this. I like him a lot. I'm a big Darvish fan in general. I like pairing the two together if you can make it work, which you can because bats are cheap. So my 2 favorite pitchers on the slate right here.
All right, that is I'm going it's slightly, and by slightly I mean not that much differently. I did build my lineups out as well. Consolidated within 27 to 34%. I've got Garrett Cole, Drew Smyly, and Cease. My next wave is 17 or 18% to 21%. That's going to be Darvish, Alex Cobb, and somehow Jose Barrios slid in there. I guess it's his.
I've got a little Barrios too.
Yeah, it's his $7,600 price tag because it's not going against his former team, even though his former team has a boatload of players on the injured list. It's just that there is that strikeout upside. When it shows up, I want to be there. I'm trying to match the field. But is there any bats you'd like to call out in this matchup? It's tough choosing anybody against Cole. There are quite a few gas cans taking the mound today, so it's not like we have to force anything in here. What do you see from either the Yankees or the Friars?
For me, nothing, but both these lineups have a lot of power. Home runs win tournaments in DFS, especially on DraftKings. So if you want to play it like Cole and or Darvish are just off their game. I mean, Cole has not been good recently in his past couple starts. So if you want to just think that that's a trend and he's not going to change, I get it. But for me, no, thank you.
All right. Most everybody is below 3% in my lineups. Aaron Judge is coming in at 12. It's a function of him being a one-off for home runs. Same thing for Fernando Tatis. He's coming in at 12%. Field's looking like it's about 15. The only Padres I have are Tatis, Cronenworth, and Soto. So I'm guessing a few 3-man stacks snuck in there, but otherwise I don't think I'd get much for this either.
They're expensive too.
Yeah, building out a couple 100 lineups and then knocking it down a little bit allows you to get those percentages. If I was building just 20 regular lineups, I doubt I'd have any hitter on either side, even as one-offs. So
fair.
Little bit of perspective there. Let's take a peek here. I want to remind everybody we are sponsored by So Rare, so that is always fun to mention them. Essentially what they are is an NFT based game. It is on the Ethereum blockchain, but they have soccer, NBA, and MLB contests available. The one nice thing here is if you go through the link that is in our YouTube description, and once you have made 5 purchases on their open market, you will get to select one free limited card. The limited cards, there's only they're 1 out of 5,000. So you get a little bit of an advantage with those, but basically it's trading card game here. How it works, kind of using the basketball or the baseball models, the contest usually lasts 3 or 4 days. The more you play in contests, the more points your cards earn for experience points. So that gives you a little boost on their scoring. So there's a lot of strategy here. We also have several shows that do talk about this. Neil Orfield plays a ton of these. Eric Lindquist also plays these quite a bit, so you guys can check that out. But it's sort of the next evolution of fantasy sports. And as you know, if we can be an early adopter on any of these, figure out the little wrinkles, you can take advantage of those who are not quite paying attention or doing their due diligence as they get into here. But check this out. Again, it's a digital trading card game here. Their scoring is based upon real life performances, just like in DFS. So you can buy, sell, trade, collect your favorite cards. You can have a lot of fun, and you can see they actually are doing some major ad campaign pushes. They've got Vinny Pasquantino, the Pass Squatch, has like a 5-minute interview with them. There are a couple other major league players. It's you can find those on YouTube just by typing in SoRare. It's fun to kind of watch them because they all at various points throughout each of the shows, they all try to make the case why they should be on everybody's SoRare portfolio. But check that out. They are the sponsor of the MLB Live Before Lock.
I'm
show.
chuckling because I just saw Pasquantino with a Sasquatch chain. Like he's got a pendant with a Sasquatch.
Oh, nice.
It's hilarious.
Nice. Yeah, he's leaning into the Pasquatch. It's just a great nickname out there.
It is.
All right. Game number 2. This one feeling a little bit like what we're going to want to talk about the offenses. You've got Cody Bradford going against the Baltimore Orioles. So I called out Baltimore as one of my favorite stacks today. That is in the MLB Spotlight Pitchers and Top Stacks tool. Bradford actually he's an okay pitcher. So kind of the book on him is he's getting his second start of his career. He is replacing Dane Dunning, who is on the paternity list. Bradford came up and kind of got gobsmacked in his first start. It was against Atlanta. That's fine. No shame in that. He's been relatively good. He's basically first or second in every pitching category in the Pacific Coast League this season. However, this year's his only year that he's pitched at AAA. He came up, had 2 years in college for Baylor University. His third year, he ended up with that thoracic outlet issue on his pitching arm, so he got shut down after 3 innings, but was still drafted in the 6th or 7th round of the MLB draft. But of course, between the pandemic shutdown of the minor league 2020 season and him slowly working his way through the minors, he really hasn't pitched above AA until this year. So he's going to need some more seasoning. A lot of the writing about him in articles are kind of, he's in that crafty lefty phase, multiple decent pitches. He's going to be a back end starter. He deserves to be in a rotation. He just has between his MLB start and his time at AAA Round Rock, he's got like 55 innings above AA. He needs, this is on the job training for him. So going against the Orioles, I think we will want to like them. And then on the other side, Kyle Bradish, okay pitcher, but Texas, Matt, how did this happen? They're averaging like 6.8 runs per game. This is just absolutely wild. I'm feeling the offense today on this. I don't want anything to do with either pitcher. Is that your read? And then lead us through Texas here.
It's definitely my read here. I feel like I'm actually a little bit even lower on Bradford than you are. All your points are well taken. I get it. I don't think he's a gas can, but he's the Rangers' overall 26th prospect. So that kind of tells you all you need to know here. I am a little bit worried. So Baltimore's my top stack of the day, using quite a bit of them. I built lineups before. They're second in our top stack tools at 9.4%, coming in a little bit slightly under owned, 8.2% ownership. I am a little bit worried that ownership is going to be higher, though. I know that a bunch of recent shows have talked about this. The field has just gotten smarter. They see, these tools, and that ownership is low here. I'm worried if just that and Bradford's awful first start bump up Baltimore's ownership here. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's a distinct possibility. And that's something that a lot, you can really see how the field has gotten sharper over the last few years, plus the proliferation of optimizers. Sure. Or in our case, the lineup generator they're relatively cheap now, or easily accessible. So people are now understand that DFS is mostly a math problem, particularly baseball, where you want to harness the variance. You are looking to leverage against the rest of the field. Now you can do that by taking a stack against the high-owned pitcher. You don't want to do that for someone like Cole today, because even if he melts down and gives up 4 or 5 earned runs, he's probably giving up 1 or 2 solo shots or maybe a 2-run homer, right? So it's real tough. Your stacks, if you go look, like the other day, the Nationals had like 7 runs. Everybody's like, oh, that was an odd, should have stacked the Nationals. They had 1 home run and 2 doubles.
Right.
That's not, and by the way, the home run and one of the doubles came from the back of the lineup. It wasn't a regular stack person. You got to know where the production's coming from. So people are
I will say,
I should have done this.
I completely agree with you. That point is very well taken, because I know a lot of like early players, like novice type players, why don't we just stack against the highest owned pitcher? They're going to be really high owned. Well, what does it look like when that pitcher doesn't have a good game? The only thing I'll disagree with is Cole today. Because like San Diego is really good with really good hitters. and Cole gives up power. So this is actually a rare case where, like, if you want to stack a little bit against Cole, that's not what I'm going to do, but I see the avenue where it comes through. But overall, I know that wasn't your really your point. It was more just, you really got to look at the spots and what happens, if this team scores 7-8 runs, how does that usually happen?
Exactly. And that's where folks are saying, oh, I don't want to play this person. They're too high or they're too chalky. In baseball, chalky is like 30 or 40%.
Right.
It's not like basketball. It's not like
that's
playoff
very
basketball.
Chalky too.
Yeah. So
on a slate like this, very chalky. I don't even think anyone will get that high owned. Go ahead.
Right.
Sorry.
Right. No, so it's a different mindset, and you got to be careful. And I know we have a lot of people that pop in on Sundays, right? They don't get to play the rest of the weeks. This is what our 6th or 7th Sunday of the season. They're still shaking the rust off. So it's just a reminder, especially coming out of the very consolidated fields of NBA playoffs. Now that we're down to 1 game per slate for like the last 11 DFS slates, it's one of those where you need to understand the different language and nomenclature is not the same when it's the different sports, right? So
definitely
it can be a little tricky. So
and kind of to your point,
it's crazy.
To your point about Baltimore, that kind of in a roundabout way, I think you answered my question. Even if they are a little bit higher owned than our top stack stool, projects, I don't think it's something to necessarily worry about, because you're not going to see them like NBA chalky, like you're talking about, or even the MLB chalky that you were talking about. These guys, even if they're higher than 8%, they're not going to come in 20%. I'd be very surprised if that was the case.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you can get within stack differentiation. So here we've got Jorge Mateo is down there at the bottom of the lineup. Well, he's not afraid to steal bases. He does have a little extra base upside. He's sitting there in the 9 hole. That's the perfect wraparound stack there. Sure. Mullins, you can look at him. He's subpar against fellow lefties. But how long is a lefty going to be in?
Right. If you're stacking a team, you're expecting them to get to the starter. That starter's not going to be in that long. Mullins is elite. This is a team, we just talked about what it looks like when a team scores a bunch of runs. This is a team with a ton of power, a ton of speed. They're my top stack on the board. I like them. I prefer them, I should say, against righties, but it is what it is today. We get a lefty, so I like them a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are ways you can go in stack differentiation here. So that's sort of what that's the strategy part. We were kind of, Matthew was saying, oh, this is kind of like the strategy / live before lock show. Yes, when there's only one and it's kind of early, we sort of double down here. So if there's something that's worthwhile to explore like this, we like talk about a little bit, because we know a lot of folks only can really tune in on Sundays and Saturdays here. So, and
for me, the first 2 games on the slate, where I have most of my pitching exposure and my favorite offense on the slate. It usually doesn't work out like that, but the other games are less pertinent for me personally.
Yes. So you're going to be winning. You're going to be looking real good at about 2:00 today.
Hopefully. Although that's the other great thing about Sunday. Most of the games start within an hour of each other, especially when we get this 1:35 start. So, hopefully I'm in first early and late today.
All right. Producer Mike, you want to put that little tweet up on the screen? So for those of you guys that did not get to see, Matt had one heck of a showing there. Which day was it? Was it earlier this week, at the beginning of this week, actually, when that popped up? Yeah,
it was. I had a really good, I had a 2-day stretch where I took down a FanDuel tournament on Tuesday and then a DraftKings tournament on Wednesday, or a bunch of them. I actually qualified for each of the Fantasy Baseball World Championships. So I'll be going to Philly and San Diego.
Very nice. So not only that, but you had a 6-figure victory in there as well. So this has been one hell of a week for you, Matt.
Yeah, not to just humble, right? 2 6-figure victories this week. One on FanDuel.
Oh, I'm sorry.
One on 2. I just had to make sure that it was clear there. No, it's been obviously a good ride here. So looking to continue it today. I know the last time I was on the show, I had a really good night. Neil actually asked me, he's like, do you play FanDuel a lot? And I was like, I dabble a little bit. And he got me thinking about playing FanDuel a little bit more. So I since then have played FanDuel a little bit more and have had obviously a very good week.
Excellent. Well, there you guys have it. You saw it there on the screen. You got all of Mr. Belman's bona fides there. So he knows exactly what he is talking about, both for DraftKings and the blue side. All right. Anything else? We'll circle back and let you mop up anything we have left for Rangers / Orioles. Maybe you want to hit a few of the Rangers bats, or all of them in this case.
Are the Rangers getting forgotten about here? Because on the top stack tool they are, when we just talked about this game, we didn't even mention them barely. We talked about Baltimore. Now, a lot of that was me because I like Baltimore a lot. I think everything I said about Baltimore, you could say about Texas here. Ton of power, maybe a little bit less speed, but more power, better hitters throughout the Texas lineup. This team is good. And you can stack them pretty much any day. Today is no exception.
All right, let's maneuver the rest. Oh, Mike, did you have something there? Oh, well, shout out to Guitar Man 24/7, 365, some days 360, some years 366, putting in there a few YouTube subscriptions here that gets you access to the fun little badges, the different emojis, etc. I've got mine here. I will type in badges. There you go. You can see mine. I think I've had mine for about 2 years. You get every month, you get a free super chat, or it's a membership chat as part of that. So it's a little bit of fun. It's like my wife was asking me, oh, what is it? What is this charge that's coming through on Yahoo? I'm like, it's to get stickers and this. And she's like, you have no interest in those things. I'm like, yeah, I don't care. It's like 10 cents a day, whatever. Now I got a little badge and I have access to my own sticker. And she was not impressed by the EMac emoji. I guess because she has to the privilege of dealing with the real EMac every day of the year.
Similar stories over here, EMac. Similar stories over here.
Yes. All right. Back to baseball here. Let's move on over to the Cardinals there in Cleveland, taking on your Guardians here. Jordan Montgomery on the mound. Decent salary there as a secondary pitcher on DraftKings. On the other side, you have Hunter Gaddis, who will do whatever it takes to not strike anyone out. He has been getting by on smoke and mirrors. Do you want to give us the inside skinny on Hunter Gaddis? Am I missing something? Does he have some magical pitches, or has he just been getting lucky his last couple of starts?
Yeah, he's just been getting lucky. I don't really see this lasting. St. Louis looks good here. Not my top stack on the board, but certainly in play. I think the biggest, the best part of this game for me that I like is Montgomery. Not my favorite pitcher on the slate, but he's so cheap for what he offers. I think his price has been reduced just based on a couple bad starts. I'm not really worried about it. Cleveland is not an offense I'm afraid of. The Guardians stink. They don't strike out a ton, but they don't have many hitters you're worried about aside from Jose Ramirez. Again, not my favorite pitcher on the slate, but I like Montgomery here. No interest in Gaddis. Think you could definitely stack some St. Louis bats. They're coming in as one of our higher top stack percentages on the slate. Ownership is there. No surprise. They seem to always get ownership. Today is no different, but there's a lot to like about them here, 1 through 9.
Talk a little bit more about the Redbirds here. They finally have some left-handed hitters. Forever, it seemed like they would do anything they can to only have right-handed hitters with the occasional switch hitter, especially once Matt Carpenter left town. But now they've got Lars Nootbaar and Nolan Gorman playing almost every day up at the top of the order. You've got Brendan Donovan popping in and out of the order. He's on a bit of a heater right now as well. He's got a couple multi-hit games over the last week.
Homered yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, indeed. And been improving. They now have enough lefties to literally go every other righty lefty. That was something where they would stretch to get to maybe 3 lefties in the lineup when they were facing righties, but entirely different team today. What do you want to call out in particular from this lineup?
Gorman. I love that call out. Second in the NL in RBIs right now. And he has been sitting against a lot of lefties. He comes in late in games. He's had a bunch of pinch hits, but the top 2 hitters from St. Louis are obviously Goldie and Arenado. Those are going to be the 2 guys, if you're stacking them, you ideally want to build around. But I'm with you, man. They've kind of built this lineup out. I like Nootbaar a lot leading off. Gorman hitting third. Paul DeYoung has actually always been better against righties. He's been pretty good this year. Not worried about him. His price tag has risen a little bit. But like I said, I think this lineup 1 through 9 is usable. Certainly you're looking at the top guys as the guys who will project better, but in tournaments, I see no issue going to, a 6, 7, 8, 9, 1 wraparound. I love stacks like that personally.
All righty, let's continue moving on. Anything else you want to hit from this game? We do have a couple more we'll break down in depth, and we've got about 40 or so minutes until lock here.
Nothing more for me on this game. It's, if I were ranking them, which I know has been done a lot recently, it would be St. Louis and the Montgomery basically even, and then no interest in Gaddis for the Guardians.
All righty, let's maneuver our way through onto the White Sox here. Dylan Cease going against the Tigers. Eduardo Rodriguez on the other side. Now, let me get to my notes here for Mr. Cease, because I actually put him as he ended up getting my lead pitching slot of the day. Now, this does take some, we got to talk through it a little bit. He's 8,500 on DraftKings, 3,900 on Yahoo. That Yahoo price is essentially a second pitcher there. I think he's a phenomenal option there. He can be a kind of a co-number one on DraftKings. You can even look to him on Yahoo. He's at 95, pardon me, on FanDuel. He is 9,500 there. So in this May, absolutely mediocre. 5 starts, 5.1 ERA, 1.34 whip, just 7.3 strikeouts per 9. However, this is the get right spot of all get right spots. And even though Detroit has improved against right-handed hitting this season, they're all the way up to an 87 WRC plus, which is bottom 3. If we stretch back to last season with the same collection of hitters, that drops back down to an 81 WRC plus. So basically that's saying they score 20% less efficiently than league average once they neutralize out ballparks and a few other factors. So that's what WRC plus is. It creates a league-wide baseline of like 100 or of 100. And then if you're above that, that's your percentage more efficiently you score. Below that, less efficiently. So I was poking around to see what the heck's going on. So he's seen a 1 mile drop across the board for his fastball, slider, and curve. Changeup remains the same when comparing to last year. His pitch mix was mostly the same as well. So last year obviously was the high water mark, but I think he's due for some more positive regression. And I think it's going to happen today against these very Tigers. And usually we don't call out when regression is going to happen. It's the Motor City Kitties here. We're going to pick on them. What is your take here on Cease? And do you have any love for Eduardo Rodriguez?
Not a lot of love for Erod, although he's getting ownership too. Looks like both pitchers in this game are getting ownership. I have no problems with Erod. I preferred, using righties against the White Sox. They're not very good against anyone, but Eloy Jimenez is back. Erod is fine for me. I think the big talking point though is Cease. I completely understand all your points. I'm a huge Cease fan in general. I just can't do it. He belongs in like the Blake Snell, Kodai Senga group where it's just, these guys are really talented. They're just so hard to watch because they walk a lot of guys. Their control varies from hitter to hitter, inning to inning. It is a good spot. Obviously, Detroit, like you said, they're a little bit better. They're still not good. They're below league average. I think the top of this lineup, though, and not that I'm like looking to get here, McKinstry, who came over from the Dodgers, he's on fire right now. Riley Green, probably their best hitter, one of the top prospects in baseball, has been pretty good this year. It gets, worse from there, obviously, as all lineups do. But I don't think this lineup is the Tigers or the Motor City Kitties, as you like to say, that I chuckled. From the past, couple years, I think they're a little bit better. And Cease, my big thing about Cease here is his numbers across the board are similar to slightly less than Darvish is. Our top two are pitchers tool has them basically as the same top two pitcher percentage, with Cease getting 26%, Darvish getting 16%. I get it. The matchup's better. Seems a lot more comfy in Detroit. I'm on Team Darvish here. I assume that Cole is in that top group for you. I'm kind of taking my stand on Darvish over Cease. The price doesn't really matter, but I certainly understand why you or anyone else would like him here. Same goes for Erod. I mean, I think that this game is more of a pitcher's game than a hitter game. I just personally like other pitchers better.
All right. Any individual bats you want to hit on here, particularly for the White Sox? McKinstry for the Tigers. Yeah,
it would be. I mean, the White Sox have a few guys that have perennially been better against lefties. Tim Anderson, Luis Robert, Eloy Jimenez, as I mentioned. Their lineup really weakens out. Not a ton of interest in any bats from this game.
All right, then let's have some fun here. I see we've got 583 watching. That's pretty good for a holiday Sunday here. Hit the like button. That's always very helpful. And you guys can even subscribe as we head towards 90,000 YouTube subscribers here. That's a lot of fun. We not only have this channel on YouTube, but we've got 3 others. The one I'm going to mention now is the Odds Shopper YouTube channel. You can get all sorts of videos on demand plus shows there as well. Every Monday through Friday at 4 o'clock at the Odds Shop. That is with Lofty, Ben Rossa, rotating around with Aton, Eric Lindquist will pop up. Greg Ehrenberg's going to be there from time to time. So will Josh Engelman. They're looking at the different Odd Shopper tools, the Bet Pro tools. They're telling you how to utilize the different bonus bets and deposit bonuses that are available, or boosters at the different sites. They're showing you all the ways that you can gain little edges that do add up to actual ROI in your favor if you are using a smart approach to sports wagering. And for those of you that don't have the enlightened states with sports wagering, they also do a lot of picks there for sites like Prize Picks, No House Advantage, Underdog, etc., that have the player prop options there. So check that out. And if you're looking for some free content, because I know everybody's looking for some free content, use the avatar contest. So that, or promotion, that is to go to stokastic.com/avatar, download that Stokastic avatar, upload that to your DFS site of choice. And if you finish top 3, that is first, second, or third, no 500-way ties in Showdown, first, second, or third, 3-way tie for first and Showdown will work. But any contest you finish first, second, or third with at least 5,000 entries, tweet Stokastic HOF with the screenshot of your victory and your Stokastic avatar, and we will get you 30 days of Stokastic premium content. If you do not have social media, you can always email a screenshot to support@stokastic.com. We're going to tweet it out because, of course, that's the trade-off for you getting 30 days of Stokastic premium. And even if you don't finish top 3, if you have a win there that you want to share with everybody, we like to celebrate wins, large or small. Check that out, and you'll probably end up being on the weekly what is it called? The Stokastic Hall of Fame segment that Lofty does every week. So it's a lot of fun seeing your name in lights. Have a feeling we're going to see Mr. Belman getting his shout out here in the upcoming Hall of Fame. All righty, let's get back down to business here. Now I've got to get back to my run sheet. How unprofessional of me to not have that ready. We've got, let's see, we did the White Sox. We are on to the Blue Jays and Twins. So you've got Jose Berrios going into Minnesota, taking on his former squad. He will be facing Bailey Ober. I'm not overly interested in Bailey Ober today. He is more of a matchups-driven option, and I do not want to tangle with the Blue Jays. On the other side, though, with Berrios, sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe god-awful. So he has a wide range of outcomes here. There is no mistaking his strikeout upside, but he does have some control issues and some power issues when he is not locating. That can be a challenge and can lead to crooked numbers because he does allow a lot of exit velocity. So he's someone that I think you can kind of go both sides on this one. However, the both sides parts for the Twins is kind of tough because they're missing 3 or 4 key bats. They still have an okay lineup here. You got Carlos Correa, who's a little bit dinged up. He's still around. Byron Buxton, who is not injured at the moment, is available. Kirilloff should be there in the cleanup slot. So you've got some options here. I'm on both sides of Jose Berrios, but he is my 5th most owned pitcher on DK. We got to play 2, so that's what elevates him up there into the process. But I've capped him out right around 20%. What is your take on Berrios? Do you want to go to Bailey Ober? What do you like from the pitching side of this? Because I think there's more to talk about on the hitters.
Yeah, from the pitching side, I'm with you. Ober's a good young arm. He struggled mightily at the beginning of the last game. He was chalky against San Fran, gave up 4 runs in the first 4 batters, settled down nicely after that, didn't allow another run. I don't like him here against Toronto. I'm not overly excited about him. I'm not overly excited about the Toronto batch, against him, but they would be my preference over him. I used a little bit of Pablo Lopez yesterday and learned my lesson the hard way. He wasn't awful, but this is just a lineup you don't want to pick on unless you have to. It's a really small slate, whatever the case may be. As far as Berrios goes, I'm with you. Like, this isn't a guy I've used a lot or at all recently. Like you said, he's Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. He's been good recently, though. I hate to be the prototypical game log watcher, but he's got 20 plus in 3 of his past 4. And those games were in Tampa against the Rays, against the Yankees, against the Braves, he struggled. And then at Pittsburgh, he threw a gem. So again, that doesn't mean that he's going to pitch well here, of course. But going back to Minnesota, and I don't care about like going back to Minnesota or the revenge or any of that, but he did pitch really well at home for his entire career, basically. He was a guy always preferred at home as opposed to on the road. Now he's going back to a place he's been comfortable at. I don't love him here. He's not my favorite pitcher on the slate, but he's in the mix for me. As of now, I'm using 4 pitchers: Cole, Darvish, Montgomery, and Barrios. I think he's in play at that price point. As far as the Twins bats goes, I will say they won Engelman $50K yesterday. This is basically same lineup. So they're cheap is the thing. Matt Wallner at $2K, Willie Castro 2.3K, Kirilloff batting 5th at 3.3K. I mean, you can basically stack them and get any pitching you want. Julian hitting 2nd at 2.7K. They're really cheap. And if you think Barrios gets racked here, which he has the propensity to do, I get it. I'm more team Barrios here, which sounds like in the heart of hearts you are too.
It's begrudging. This is like me with Bam Adebayo, a couple other players. It's the forever. I never seem to get them right. It's not that they do bad when I choose them. It's just that you don't always get the lightning in a bottle kind of thing. And that's the part that, you know, with Barrios, he does have the possibility of doing bad. I mean, we've all seen that. We've been on the wrong side of some of his starts, but he's someone that on the whole is talented, does have strikeout upside, and that's what makes everything go in DFS fantasy. So I did my last run. I knocked out a couple lineups. He is my 6th most popular pitcher, but he's 3 percentage points behind Alex Cobb, who is my 3rd most, or probably my 4th most. So I have him right behind that Cease, Smiley, Garrett Cole group. So it's not like there's a huge disparity here. I am using, let's see, it looks like mostly like 9 pitchers today that I have 10% or more. And then I've got Kyle Bradish somehow snuck into 2.3% of the lineups.
How many lineups?
I'm just going to let that be there. How many lineups?
I
have run 157.
Okay. So yeah, that's no shocker that a guy like Bradish would sneak in there, but I wouldn't really recommend it if you're playing anything less than that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's funny, I've evolved over the years of how I approach different games, or different DFS sports. And forever, sure, I was the hand building person, making 3 to 10 lineups. Now I do more the mass multi-entry, but I target the smaller fields where I can. I enter a bunch of them that have the same payout structure. So effectively, I'm building my own GPP, because when you get a 1%er in the FanDuel 100 mans, you have a chance at winning in getting the 15, but depending on what the payout is, if it's $1, you have a chance of winning 15, 20, or 25, depending on which one you get in and how the payouts have been structured. But that's somewhere where you can't get a ton of volume down, but you can usually get about $100 in on that easily, and build 100 lineups. And that's just a way you can mitigate those top heavy lineups. So I'm never going to have a day where, I list 6 figures, let alone most days I won't. Sure. I have the possibility of getting 5 figures, 4 at the best. But I also have a really good chance of 3xing, 4xing, 5xing my money, even if I have just a bunch of 1% lineups. And because if those same lineups would 2x or 3x at best in the large field tournaments, you got to know your payout structures.
Right.
You got guys and gals, you got to know the payout structures, because I was arguing with someone, or not arguing, I was just trying to describe to them in chat. They're like, I said, which contest is better, this $1,000 contest or prize pool, or this $200 prize pool? And they're like, oh, well, clearly that the $1,000 contest, because it's going to have more payout. And it's like, no, by the time you get to 4th place, right, this $200 contest is better. You have a better chance of beating out 200 people than you do getting 4th out of 1,000 people.
You're so right. But I will
how
say,
it works, guys.
It also just depends on what you're looking for. Like, the better contest just depends on what you're looking for. You know what I mean? It's all nuanced. And as my dad used to always tell me, there's plenty of ways to skin the cat, right? So there's not just one hardened way to do it. It all depends on what you're looking to get out of it.
All right. Oh, I do see I missed a super chat for Ace of Spades DK tiers. I have played tiers. I'll call that back up, but let's continue analyzing here. We're into the 2:00 game, so the second one is going to be San Francisco Giants here at the Brewers. Alex Cobb, nice sinker baller, going against Colin Ray. I'm not overly interested in Ray in this matchup. Giants can be pesky, nothing terrifying in their lineup when it comes to bats, but they'll just go dramatically lefty or righty depending on the opposing pitcher, so they can get as many of the hitters with the platoon advantage as possible. So there, some days they're good, some days they're it doesn't really work out, but I don't really want to tangle with Colin Ray. What are you looking at in this one? On the afternoon slate, I think Alex Cobb is an intriguing SP2, but aside from that, I think he's my 7th most popular pitcher on the main slates. But what do you got here? Talk about Cobb and the Giants first here.
If I were using more pitchers, he would definitely be in that mix for me, like with Cease. I'm just not. Cobb's been good this year, 21.4% K rate. You know, not great. 3.95 expected ERA, 1.31 whip. I mean, decent numbers. I'm not really interested in basically any side of this game. If I were to pick a side, it would be Cobb and then Giants bats. I know Ray was Houston was really popular against him in his last start earlier in the week. They dudded. He pitched really well. I mean, I don't take anything out of that. Kind of just makes me like the Giants bats a little bit more because that's how DFS works. I think Cobb and some Giants one-offs are in play. I don't, hate the idea of using a Brewers bat or two like Yelich or Rowdy Tellez, but this is, I'm not intentionally like a cross-off game, but this is a game I'm not getting a ton of exposure to.
All right. I don't have much to add on that one. It's one that if they sprinkle in across my lineups, I'm okay with that. Let's see where they do.
Yeah, same
here. So I have 24% of Cobb, none of Rhea. And then if I look to just San Francisco here, 16% JD Davis, that's a little above the field. 10% Haniger, that's a little above the field. 9% Yastrzemski, a little below the field. And then, catcher, I think he's coming in mostly at catcher for me, but Blake Sable is batting 6th, though I've got him at 9%. I've got Conforto at 6%. And for the Brew Crew, 8% William Contreras, but that's really it. He's $3,000 cleanup and a catcher. That works for me. I think I have 11.
I like the JD Davis call though. Yeah. When I hand built my lineups before, I got him in a couple lineups. He's having a really good year against right-handed pitching. He's inexpensive, batting 3rd. That's a good call.
All right, so this is for the Ace of Spades. I love that song. The Ace of Spades, the Ace of Spades. All right, you get your stacks here. It's very, very hard to double stack today. So I think you want to look either number 1 is Texas for me. I know I said I like the Baltimore stack better, but you get a better Texas stack here. You can go 1, 3, 5, 6, and that will be Semien, Adolis Garcia, Josh Young, and then Jonah Heim. So that's pretty solid. For Baltimore, you can do a 3-man, but it's using some of the same Texas tiers. You can go 3, 4, 6, and that would be Cedric Mullins, Adley Rutschman, and Jorge Mateo. And then you can get there we go. Here's the one that Matt will endorse. This is the Cleveland stack using 2 and 3. So again, it's hard to double stack here, but tier 2 Goldschmidt, tier 3 Arenado, tier 5 Nolan Gorman. So those are your 3 stacks I would focus on for synergy. Let's call out a few one-offs here as well. Let me filter on that. Tier 1, if you're not, go with the Goldschmidt in tier 1. That's tier 2. In tier 1, Aaron Judge looks pretty good. Tatis looks pretty good. Soto looks pretty good. If you're not doing this Texas stack with Semien. Tier 2.
Do you play a lot of tiers?
I do. Yeah.
I didn't know that stacking was really a thing for tiers. I've never played it.
Oh, it is. But you don't know that. It makes sense. Don't get to choose. It's just they put a player pool up. And sometimes the best pitcher hitters are in the same tier, and sometimes you can stack some teams. So you don't get to choose. Yeah. So you have to go look each day because they'll never separate Shohei Ohtani and Trout. Right. Okay. And there are certain teams where they have just 2
You'll
good
never be able to stack them.
Exactly. Okay. Exactly. And then you're ending up with a Hunter Renfroe or Taylor Ward. Sure. And you're just like, well, I want these other two, right? Those guys. So sometimes it just doesn't work that way. Tier 2, I think you want Paul Goldschmidt in the vast majority of cases. Tier 3, Arenado if you're stacking, or Seager or Garcia. I mentioned I was going with Garcia, but you can go with Seager there. Tier 4, I would pick Vladdy or Bo Bichette as your top 2. Tier 5, I would go Nolan Gorman. The other option would be probably Luis Robert, and then, or Luis Robert, even though it should be Luis Robert. And then the final stack, Dansby Swanson. I like him in tier 6. If you're not doing Cronenworth as part of the Padres stack. We got 2 more games to go here, and one of them is going to be Cincinnati. We've got, here's a good question. I don't know what to do with Mackenzie Gore. I have been starting to stream the Nationals pitchers over the last 3 weeks, and it's worked out rather well. Patrick Corbin, you don't get wins very often, but Patrick Corbin has been solid. I finally dropped Josiah Gray after his last start because I'm like, I can't keep having 3+ walks per outing and him not giving up home runs. This is not going to end well. So I got rid of him, but I've got Mackenzie Gore coming up today on a bunch of teams for the Sunday push here as we get through our weekly scoring period. I actually like Gore in this one, but we've got a 4.6 implied run total on both sides, and it's not like super hot and super windy in Kauffman Stadium. But so I'm not entirely sure what to do here. And then Daniel Lynch making a season debut. He has made several starts in the minors. I think he'll probably go around 80 pitches today, would be my guess. It looked like
he's lucky.
I was trying to math into it. I think we went a little high. It looked like I can't find on our side. I know we had it at one point. I don't know if we still have it visible where you see the pitch count. I was trying to math into how I thought we do it, and it looked to me like we were approaching 90 pitches. I felt that was a little high as well. So I just set a player cap on him of 10% in the stacks, just because the Nationals are actually not god awful against lefties.
Right. So for me, it's not even about, I would be surprised if he goes over 90 here. But for me, it's like, is he going to pitch well enough to even get to that point? I don't think so. Yeah. Certainly it's possible. The Nationals aren't a lineup you're afraid of, but they've been pretty good against lefties. They've been good recently. I like the Nats here. As far as Gore goes, I think he's an interesting talking point. Your points are well taken. I feel similarly about him. Like, it's hard to get a good gauge on, what he is right now. Obviously, he's a guy with a ton of talent, came over in the Juan Soto deal. He's been good. You look at his numbers, 28.3% K rate, 4.12 expected ERA. The whip is high. He walks a ton of guys. The Royals have bats that could really burn him if he starts putting guys on base. Salvador Perez, Bobby Witt. I'm not getting there. I am actually getting to a few Royals bats, but I think he's a really, really interesting GPP play at that.
Yeah, and it's one of those that it's hard to tell what you want to do. And I almost made him in the Spotlight Pitchers Top Stacks article. He almost was my mid-afternoon slate target. I ended up going with Drew Smiley. We'll talk about him in just a moment here. But this is it's hard to figure out how good he is, because there's definitely talent there with Gore. He doesn't have a ton of trips around the block under his belt. He's getting better. I, as a Nationals fan, am just so stigmatized by how horrible their pitching luck has been. You're looking at you, Steven Strasburg, still looking at you, Patrick Corbin, and Josiah Gray. Though now that I think was slightly ahead of the curve and saying, these guys aren't giving up home runs quite like they have over the last 2 years. It paid off for me in season-long stuff, and people are like, oh, you still play season-long? Yes, you guys mentioned year 35 of me playing season-long stuff. It's
not year 35 for me. It's not year 35 for me. I am 38, so I'm still an old.
Okay.
But I was playing fantasy baseball with my dad when I was, 8 years old. So it's been a long time. This was before the internet. You had to send the lineups in. Yeah, so that's kind of been ingrained in me. I just, going back to this game for a second, I will say we kind of see eye to eye on Gore here, and I'm not going to change any of my lineups now because I built them all before. But after talking this slate out just a little bit, I know there's one game left. If I were rebuilding, I would have some Gore, and I would have more Texas.
Okay. All right. Well, for those of you that are still building, you got 13 minutes left here. So check that out. We're going to do our final game here. We're going to talk a little bit about the lineup generator, which is a lot of fun. And then in the meantime, I'm going to give you guys another way to get some free stochastic content. We mentioned the avatar contest, but this one's even easier. You don't have to beat out 5,000 people to get first, second, or third to get your 30 free days. All you got to do is sign up for BetMGM. So either go through the link that is that will be popping up here in the YouTube chat, or that is in the YouTube description of this video, or you can use the promo code Platinum Sub. Either of those ways will tag you with our referral. Now, this is what's very, very important, because once you come in on one of our referral links, you have the opportunity to get 30 days of stochastic premium. All you got to do is, once you are coming in on that link, create your account at BetMGM. Once you have wagered $10 and that settles, up will pop a little promo code for you on the BetMGM screen that will get you 30 days of stochastic premium. Not to fear if you miss it, because on BetMGM, they also have an in-game email box or notification box. They'll send you a note with the promo code there. Once you're ready to use that, you just copy and paste that when you sign up for the 30-day stochastic promo, and it will automatically give it to you. If you're on some sort of yearly package or grandfathered in, reach out to support at stochastic.com, and they'll help you get that 30 days with that promo code. But check that out. It's a lot of fun over there. And then the other thing that's nice is your first wager is risk-free. If you lose, you'll get bet insurance or bet credits back for the amount that you lose, up to $1,000. So in this case, if you put in $10 and make a $10 wager and you happen to lose, they'll give you $10 in bet credits. You do the same thing with 100, they'll give you $100 in bet credits, all the way up to 1,000. So that's another way that you can take advantage of some of this information. A reminder that typically in most states, the legal age of sports wagering is 21 or older. And if you or anyone you know has a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER, and maybe they will get you some help, as well as an autographed photo of Eric Lindquist doing this. Okay, final game of the
Can we
slate.
talk about the Nats bats real quick?
Oh, yeah. So what a 30-year-old rookie last year, 31 this year, coming off you just birth of a child. The baby narrative is in effect. I'm talking Joey Meneses here. What do they have good hitters? The Nationals?
They don't.
Do you want some
but
of their
that doesn't
hitters?
mean they're not. I do. I think they look really good today. They're coming in as the highest top stack on the board. Now, a lot of these are lumped together, kind of like the pitchers. Really interesting slate in that there's just a lot of good plays, pitchers and hitters. A lot of these guys are lumped together. Nationals with a 9.8% chance to be in the top stack, 9.4% ownership. They are really cheap. Now, you might have some pinch hit risk, Ildemaro Vargas, Michael Chavis in there. These guys are 2K, 2.1K. For me, I'm using Cole and Darvish. These price tags help. I like Washington here. If they were getting a ton of love, I would look to go elsewhere, because they're not that good, but they're not getting a lot of love today. They're getting sufficiently owned, but they're the top stack on the board. And I don't really see that, but I do like them a lot, and their price tags really make them in play for me here. Do you see things similarly?
Yes, and I can tell, because if I look at of the players you mentioned, I'm getting some three-mans of Ildemaro Vargas, Michael Chavis, and Riley Adams. They're the 6, 7, 8 hitter, and I have 2x, 4x, and the same for those guys against the field. And then for the top 4 hitters, I can see that I'm about with the field on Lane Thomas. He's 4,400 leading off. I've got him at 18%. We had him projected last I looked at about 17%.
And that three-man stack you talked about, sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, but to wrap this up, for Luis Garcia is at 16, which is almost double the field. Joey Meneses I have at 15. That's 50% more than the field. And then I'm doubling Stone Garrett. So I can tell that it's doing 4-mans and 3-mans with those groupings in my fantasy cruncher. So back, you were going to say the 3-mans. That
3-man you talked about, that 6, 7, 8, it's a combined 6.4K, something like that. That's crazy.
Would you rather have those guys or Aaron Judge, who's about the same price? Well, I'd rather have those guys in Aaron Judge's lineup spot and get 12 at bats, but you can kind of see there's a significant discount there.
Mm-hmm.
All righty, final game of the slate. We got about 8 minutes here. So, oops, I scrolled past it. It is going to be Graham Ashcraft. I don't know what to do with him. And Drew Smiley. So Smiley ended up being my recommended play here. To call this out, I said the soon-to-be Smiley is going to be, or the soon-to-be 34-year-old veteran. He's gone away from his cutter. He used it almost 20% of the time last year. He's moved it. He's down to 10. He's moved that over to his curveball. We've already seen him with multiple good outings. He always is good at limiting hard contact. And while he's a fly ball pitcher, he gets just enough warning track outs to survive most of the time. The wind is coming in slightly. We'll call it a breeze, 7 to 10 miles an hour from right center. That's in his favor. They've mitigated a lot of the wind issues there, or the renovations around, but in the buildings around Wrigley have mitigated a lot of what used to be the Wrigley wind games, but that's all in his favor. He's really only got to work around a couple tough hitters, and like India and Stevenson, but then Spencer Steer and Matt McClain, I think they made the lineup. They combined, I think, have like less than 200 career at bats against lefties. So I really like Smiley here on the other side. And then I'm going to turn you loose on this. On the other side, you've got Graham Ashcraft. Started the season out really, really well. He had like 6 good starts. Let me get up my notes here. So I said through 6 starts this season, he had 36 innings and a 2 ERA. He allowed just 10 extra base hits. Only one of those was a home run. 6.8 strikeouts per 9 innings. That's the one warning sign here. He's got good stuff. He just does not get strikeouts. Last 4 appearances got his ass kicked. One was in Coors Field, but one was against the Cardinals. But 17.1 innings, a 13 ERA, 6.5 FIP. So fielding independent pitching. It's horrible. 3 of those runs he allowed at least 7 or more. 3 of those games he allowed 7 or more earned runs. The wheels have fallen off the wagon here. His stats now are similar to what they were last year. He gets like a career 17% strikeout rate. He has such good stuff. I just don't know what's happening here. So I'm all over the Cubs. What do you like from this battle of the Midwest?
I don't really get what's happening with him either. He was supposed to be their 3rd guy behind Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo. He has fallen apart. And just to dive a little bit deeper into those starts you talked about recently, big worry for him. I watched a bunch of his recent outings, and specifically in that outing in Coors Field where he did not pitch well. He started off the game reasonably well, and he had a ton of hitters down 0-2, 1-2, gave up hits. That's a big time concern. You just cannot put hitters away. I'm all over the Cubs here too. I like the Cubs a lot. I don't really understand why they're only middle of the pack and top stat percentage. I like them, significantly more than that. That said, I do trust the tools. So that's why a team like Baltimore is a higher priority for me. But I like the Cubs here. The top of their lineup looks good. Swanson, Horner, Ian Happ, Suzuki hitting cleanup. I'm with you on the Cubs. I just don't really understand why, they're in the bottom half of top stack percentages.
All right. Juan Soto is scratched.
Well, that doesn't hurt Cole.
No, but it doesn't help me with my Juan Soto lineups here. It looks like Azokar is going to be coming in for him. So I've got 5 minutes, but this is the first game. That's
actually one player in MLB usually doesn't mean that much. This is about as big of a downgrade as you could ever have in a lineup. Going from one of the elite lefties in the game, Juan Soto, to Jose Azokar, who's, not bad, but a guy who really only plays against lefties, now against Garrett Cole. Again, you're going to play Cole. It's not going to change whether you're going to play him or not, but it's certainly a bump to him.
All right. I just went to Morel, who is in the game we're talking about now. That was my global swap. I needed to make it happen quickly. Morel buys me some time so I can go back and look and see. I won't be able to salvage. I mentioned I only had some trios there with the Padres. So now I really only have a couple duos with some Fernando Tatis one-offs here. Anything else from this game? Because I want to talk about the lineup generator. If there's anything else you want to call out, any particular Cubs bats that you like?
The top 4 are the guys I like the most. And I will say about Smiley, I'm not quite as high on him as you are, but he's certainly in play for me here. He's in good form also, 17 plus in each of his past 3. His past 2 are against Houston and the Mets. So again, I'm not looking at that saying he's going to pitch well today, but nice to see that in a tough matchup. As you said, he passes the eye test and he's doing it against good teams.
All right, producer Mark, if you want to put that lineup generator up there, we can talk about that for just a hot minute here as I swap out Toto out of my tiers. I am just going to go directly. I want to go. I think it's Semien. This is going to win that for me. So let's swap that, and there we go. All right. So the lineup generator, if you guys have not yet seen it, you should definitely try it out. You can get it for 50% off your first week by using the promo code baseball, the number 4 all. That is baseball 4 all. The nice thing about the lineup generator, it does all the heavy lifting for you, especially if you do not have a optimizer. And this comes in at a significant discount to most optimizers. So you do get to weigh in on the types of lineups it is generating for you here. You can choose the DK or the FanDuel main slate. Let's go with DK today. The next thing you can do is you can lock in a pitcher if you would like. It will do stack types. So for DK, you can do 5-3, 5-0, 4-4. For FanDuel, you can go 4-4, 4-3, 4-2, 2, and it'll take care of all the stacking for you. Let's go 5-3s today, just for fun, since I've never asked for 5-3s on this example. And then here we can choose the different types of lineups. The nice thing is, let's go chalky. Even if you're taking chalky lineups, what this is doing is producing plus expected value lineups. Let's go with Garrett Cole, lock him in, and just go ahead and hit generate there. So what we're doing here is you can choose one of the top 10 hitters or one of the top 10 and one of the top 10 pitchers to lock in, and that will sort of help you create the different types of lineups you're getting. So as you see Mike scrolling up and down there, you can see how chalky is a lineup. What is the projected production of it? Now, even though we picked chalky lineups, you start to look at the individual hitters there, and you're going to find a couple that are 5% or less. As we were talking about at the top of the show, chalk in baseball, nowhere near what it is in football, and not even close to what it is in NBA. So you can create up to 20 lineups here. You can build them one at a time. You can select save or discard, or you can run 20 at a time and then sort of look and see what you have. Discard the lineups that you do not like. Once you're ready, you can download those. They'll come out in whichever you're playing, FanDuel or DraftKings. It'll come out with the player IDs. You just copy that into your lineup template, upload it to the respective DFS site. Boom, you're ready to go. Oh my God, I'm playing 100 lineups. Not a problem. You just do that little process 5 times. With the way it works here, you're not going to get duplicate lineups. You could have 25 of us all sitting lineup, and locking in the exact same players in the same build, and the odds of us coming up with the same lineup are very slim. So the reason that's happening is we are building out tens of thousands of lineups on the back end, and then based on the parameters you're doing, assigning you ones that are plus expected value. So don't worry, we're not saving the best ones for ourselves. We're only building good ones here. But it's a lot of fun. It saves you time. That's the biggest thing here. You can get that baseball, the number 4 all, baseball for all is the promo code that'll get you 50% off your first week, and then it's I think it's $8.95 per week after that. So even if you're building out 10-20 lineups a day, it's like $1.20 a day. It's like, do you want to pay the rake by losing, or do you want to just get this helpful little tool and continue to build positive expected value lineups? It's like saying I want to golf and then never taking a golf lesson, or saying I want to be a fly fisherman but then never reading or looking at how to be a fly fisherman. This lineup generator,
great analogy.
Yeah, just got to buy it, do what you want, and it does the heavy lifting for you. But it's the same way. These are tools that help you do better. So wanted to call that out. As a hand builder, what do you think about all these highfalutin tools here that are available?
I'm fine with it. I think, like you said, you're a fool if you're not looking at that stuff. And even, as someone who hand builds, I'm not just opening up DK and hand building my lineups off a whim. I'm looking at the tools. I'm doing a ton of research. So yeah, I am hand building, but I'm not necessarily afraid of the tools, because I think it's just what the future holds.
All right. I see James in chat says he's hoping to get rich off fantasy while working a hard labor job 6 days a week. The days of getting rich off fantasy, few and far between. You can catch lightning in a bottle and then do it again, like Matt did, and get back-to-back $100,000 days and qualify for both sites DFS live finals. That doesn't happen very often. That's like lottery ticket time. So
not even someone, and I'm playing, heavy volume every single day. For someone who's working 6 days a week, this is what the tools are for. If you want to play use the lineup generator, use those type of tools.
Exactly. So the advice is be smart, play within your bankroll, find the little deals, play on the smaller sites, look for overlay. You want to do that, go to Yahoo. More often than not at this, even through the NBA playoffs, after we got out of the first round, you were basically playing rake free on Yahoo. For NBA, you're almost assuredly playing rake free on some of their smaller contests every day. And that's because most of them are 10 or 11% rake. Some of them are a little larger, especially when they do their giant football contests, but they're still not quite at the 15.9% that they are on DraftKings and FanDuel. And then they also do a lot of subslates there. The interesting thing that they do with all their subslates is like from their 2:00 games on, it's everybody remaining in the player pool up to Sunday Night Baseball. For their main slate today, it's everybody at the 135 games all the way through Sunday Night Baseball.
Cool.
There's content not built for that. People don't want to go there. The Apex Predators can't get enough money down to make it worth their time. That's where you could find your little edges. I made, I think, $3,600 on baseball there last year, and then and I'm only playing a couple days a week there, and usually only hand building a lineup. And then for basketball, I hit a $4,000 night. I built 2 lineups that night. That's it. You just be smart, be steady, continually move through there. Usually, I say usually once a year, I have like a $2,000 or $3,000 day there on Yahoo. I had 2 this year. Got really lucky. But you got to feed the smart. And then I'm trying so hard on DraftKings for the other stuff, and I'm treading water, right? So it's like,
yeah, sure.
Do you want to play where this, or do you want to make money, right? That's a decision point. And the answer probably should be, if you want to make money, try some of the smaller sites, but use our tools. I gave you 3 different ways you could get in for free here.
Especially the guy that's, working 6 days. And like you said, I couldn't agree more with that advice.
Exactly. Been playing from your phone. That phone building, I can't do it. I can only do it via the computer.
I prefer the phone over the computer.
Oh,
I know. I wasn't even going to say that, but wait till
you're a pseudo old. Wait till you're an old and your eyes can't see that bleeping thing. That's happened to me over the last 2 years.
The interface.
God damn, these. When did they go to the smaller font?
I just think the interface is better on the app than I do on the computer. It is certainly easier. I don't know. I think both have its benefits and cons, I guess.
Yes, I am a negative EV player on the phone. I know that.
Fair
for
enough.
Sure. This old dog, that's one new trick you're not going to learn. You know what's learning all our new tools. Those are new tricks I learned, but phone, no, can't do it.
That's fun.
All right. We're going to get on out of here, but thank you, Matthew, for joining me today. That was a lot of fun. Thank you to producer Mike for being behind the scenes. Follow us over there at stochastic_com on Twitter to get in all the fun, all the good stuff, and the various promotions. With that, gamers, good luck.
Shine like they close the shutters, but when I said I'm top 5, I didn't stutter. I put the 6 on my back like my name is Color, and I got the game in